Hello there. I've got one of my own personal cars today. One I'm going to be selling, which makes me a little bit sad because I absolutely adore this car and really Mark II Supras in general. But I have too many darn cars, and this one is nice, and it runs great, and it looks good. So that means it's easier to sell than a lot of my other stuff that need a whole bunch of work. So let's go around this specific Supra, and then we'll go for a drive. And yeah, let me give you just a quick rundown of the story on this car. So I managed to find this car, about a year ago for sale just on Facebook Marketplace locally to me here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Story was, I was buying it from a mechanic. That mechanic got it from the original owner. Original owner bought it down in Southern California, I believe, City of Industry. New. I do still have the original window sticker. We'll take a peek at that. And he drove it for many years. This was his car. And then he decided to move to Northern California pretty early on. I think this car was only a few years old when it came up here to the Bay Area. He lived in a town near me, Concord, California. And he proceeded to get busy. He made himself like 5 kids. This car could actually do okay. I grew up in an '82 Celica, so you know, yeah, it can baby, so to speak, but not when you got 5. So he parked this car, didn't drive it all that often, didn't put hardly any miles on it, and in that process got a minivan. So he would drive the minivan most of the time. This saw occasional usage, and then one day the clutch went out. So he parked it. He parked it for 4 or 5 years in the garage. Wife eventually was good enough to get on his case to fix the darn thing, so he did. Took it to the local Toyota dealership here. That's Toyota of Walnut Creek, where he had the dealership do a new clutch. This was in, I believe, like 1999, 2000. I believe 99. He drove it for a little bit longer, and just about a year later was having problems with the clutch. He wasn't driving it much, so he didn't really notice. He took it back to that same dealership, and they did a goodwill warranty for it. I do have all the documentation for this. And yeah, so then he got a new clutch in it. He drove it occasionally for a few more years, and then I believe it was approximately 2002, 2003, at just 96,000 miles and change, the fuel pump went out. So he parked it again, sat in the garage for a little bit. The family said, hey, we want to do cool stuff in the garage. So they rolled this here Supra out into the driveway, into the sun, where it sat for nearly 20 years. It sat from that, 2003-ish mark to last year, where it collected a whole bunch of sun. It cooked all the paint. It put a crack in the dashboard that we'll check out in a minute. The sun ate up the leather on the steering wheel. It cracked some of the vinyl on the top of these rear trim panels, and it absolutely baked the paint. Car's been painted. I'll go over that in a minute. But that's why. The body was laser straight, California car its whole life, so no rust to speak of, but the paint was absolutely cooked. So the guy didn't, eventually, just instead of taking care of it, he figured he would just get rid of it. He ended up selling it to his mechanic, not the mechanic that worked on this car, because that was always the Toyota dealership, but the mechanic that worked on his minivan to haul his brood of children around. And yeah, so that mechanic bought it for presumably next to nothing, and with the idea of, hey, I'm gonna fix this up with my 16-year-old son. He sees me disappear off to my mechanic shop every day and go to work, and he's been a mechanic here locally in Pleasant Hill, California for many, many years. And he wanted to show the kid, hey, this is what I'm doing all day. Let's go, come with me. We'll buy this car, we'll fix it up, and you can have a cool car. So they did a fuel pump. They replaced the fuel tank because it sat empty for so darn long. It was all a rusty mess. So new fuel pump, new tank. new lines and things like that, and fluids, fuel filter, fired it up, and it ran great. However, 16-year-old kid decided, yeah, I don't want it. I don't care. I don't care about cars, Dad. Why did you drag me into this? So mechanic Dad put it for sale on Facebook Marketplace. I saw it about 40 minutes after it went up for sale, and I hustled over and bought it. I've owned, this is my 5th Mark II Supra I've ever owned. It's been a long time since I've had one, and finding one with under 100,000 miles, it's a lifetime California car, even with bad paint, hard thing to do. So I jumped on it, and I've put some time and effort and money into it. So let's go over what that is. Chiefly among that is it's got a brand spanking new paint job. It's been painted complete, buzzed down to the primer, and in some spots down to metal, and then re-primed and repainted. The body was pretty darn straight on it. There was a little crease here that I might have a photo of. Really not that big a deal. It was like a deep scratch. And you can still kind of see a little bit because they didn't really repair it too much when they prepped it for paint. There's a little wave there, but it's had a full repaint. All the trim, redid these fender flare seals. The fender flares were removed. The fenders were removed. The bumpers were removed. Glass stayed in the car, and the trim around the glass has been redone. The rear spoiler's been painted. The bumpers, we replaced the whiskers here. These are OEM, because these, if you know anything about these cars, after a couple of decades, these fall apart. So those have been replaced. I got some OEM ones from Japan. Overnight in parts from Japan for my Supra, you know, because I'm cool. And yeah, so a lot of work and love was put into that. This is a two-tone maroon, and the color match on the repaint is a little more brown than maroon. You can kind of see it if I catch the sun just right. You can see the two-toneness better. So I'm sure some of the photos you can see that, but everything below the body line is more of a dark, deep maroon. That is pretty accurate to the OEM color on this. The upper level, if we open the door jamb, you can kind of tell it's close, but it's a little bit more, this is a little bit more of a brown, and this is a little bit more of a maroon. It still looks excellent. Everyone really enjoys it. I actually think it's a little bit of a better color, but it's not purely accurate to what it was new. But it still looks like $1 million bucks, and yeah, this car draws a lot of positive attention, which, you know, I don't know, maybe Mark IV doesn't, or at least a different crowd, but I get a lot of people just talking about how they haven't seen a clean one of these in years. Tires are brand new. You know, I'm sure you can imagine sitting for 20 years. The ones I got held air, but that was about it. They are BFG radials, which is more of like a muscle car tire, because that's just about the only stock size that's available. I like this car pretty darn stock, and so I didn't want to do different wheels, because these are 14s. They're 225/60 14s, which is the factory size. I really love these factory wheels, and these ones are in good shape, so I didn't want to make that go away. There are, on super close inspection, while the paint job is very good, and you can see that how two-tone it is here. That's a pretty good angle on how to see it here in the full sun. There are a few imperfections. There's one run in this door right here. If you just barely catch it in the right light, you can kind of see it go like this, and there's a little run there. There's a couple of spots on the fender flares. Like there's a little nick in the paint there. There's one on the other side as well. Not really here. Yeah, there's one right here. But all in all, it's really quite strikingly pretty. As I said before, all of this trim has been repainted. These are absolutely prone to flaking apart, and that's how this one was. They were all flaked apart, and you've got like a bare metal underneath. So that had been returned back to black. And of course I got it painted and parked it, and something blue on it. That'll polish off. But same with this reveal molding around the windshield. It was peeled back and redone. It did get polished out, and there's still some rubbing compound on here. Same with this cowl piece. You can kind of see it has been repainted, but it was, again, surface rust, so the paint was all blistered off of it, and so it's a lot better shape. And then same with the spoiler, was also repainted. It's much better now. Power antenna does work. With the paint job, the new billboard script on the back has been done, which looks great. If you see one of these without it, which I took this on a driving rally before we got a chance to put that back on, and it looks naked without it, so having that on there is great. Taillights are all in good shape. Here's another one of those imperfections on the fender flare. It's like a little high point and a blister. It could be sanded and redone if you really wanted to. I would just live with it, and I have been. I want to say about 800 miles on the car since I've owned it in the past year. Again, part of why I'm selling it. It's I do love the car deeply. I can't really justify owning all these cars without driving them. Now I'm trying to figure out where I put the key. It's an important thing if you want to do the rest. I left it in the ignition. That explains it. Interior's in good shape. As I said, the son got the steering wheel cover. If there's one single thing I would do in this car, it would be replace this steering wheel cover. Just get it redone in leather. Not terribly expensive to do. It just doesn't feel great on the hand, nor does it look great. A lot of the interior has faded, so you can see it's almost like this ashy gray color when it should look a much more maroon like this. And that's just from the sun. The fabric itself is in pretty decent shape. It's still soft, still holds it well. You can see here, if I do this, you can see how much darker maroon these striping were originally. I'm sure this can be dyed. I'm a little gun shy because of this two-tone. I didn't want to get some RIT dye and recolor this and then have it bleed into this. And it doesn't really bother me the way it is, but if you wanted to re-dye it, you certainly could. Headliner's in good shape. These guys like to kind of get swollen and blister up, which this one does, and there's a little split on it. This holder's cracked. Just a single screw holds that in. That's an easy fix. There's the mileage. 98,304 and counting. That's absolutely nothing for these. You kind of always see them with about 200,000+ miles on it. Or a complete museum piece that's got 0 miles on it and they sell for 40 grand. So this is kind of a perfect sweet spot. Why I felt really great purchasing it is the miles are right. You can drive it. It runs really well. It feels really tight. A Toyota with under 100,000 miles on it is always a good experience. But it's not a museum piece where you're afraid to drive it and put miles on it. So it's kind of that perfect sweet spot. Some wear on this mat here. It's in an awkward place. The carpet itself's pretty good shape. Probably use a little scrubbing. There's some, I don't know, goop on there. Looks like maybe some road tar or something. It is a 5-speed. All this stuff works. Here, let's start it up. Otherwise, this is going to be a 4-hour video. Right after I bought it, I went and it absolutely sailed through California smog. It ran really well. It runs really, really smoothly. Yeah, it's just really, really nice. Just the way, I can't emphasize how well this car drives. AC, so right after I got it and driving it, the AC compressor locked up. So it does need at least an AC compressor, and then obviously it's going to need a corresponding recharge. I don't know how well the system will or will not work after that. I assume it's sat for 20 years. Very well likely, probably some sort of leak in the system, but I don't know. Didn't get really an opportunity to do anything with it. So the belt's off the compressor right now, so the car drives just fine. Yeah, not been a major issue for me. We have fan, works on all speeds. It will do the, if you're familiar at all with these, The automatic air conditioning, they have solders in the back of this, and all of them, and I mean all of them, get micro cracks in that solder with age. And so the system in the automatic mode will usually not work, and it'll make clicking noises, which if I adjust this, you can hear it. Hear that? If you have it all the way on low, it won't make that noise. But if you try and set one of the automatic temperature settings, it will usually start making some clicking. I hate to be the guy that says they all do that, but they all do that. Factory stereo, it works. You can hear the, I don't know if you can see it, but that was the antenna whirring into place. How do I adjust? Oh, tune.
My why is diversity and unity. A safe space
sounds like it's
for my
all coming
community,
from the rear.
living with sincerity, giving every day my everything. With my why,
So I don't hear the front channel.
Seen and supported. It's a million faces with a mirror and
yeah, it mostly sounds like it's all coming out of the left rear. So some troubleshooting needs to be done there, but it does function. It is the original one with the really cool equalizer. Dashboard, it's got this dash mat on it, which I've had a bunch of cars, and I like to proactively put this on my older stuff. My 924 Turbo, I have one on here because the dash is beautiful, and they're absolutely prone to falling apart in the sun. This one was not done proactively, it was done retroactively. Mostly there's this one large crack. As I said about the sun, it's a fair bit discolored. I think if you might be able to repair this, there's some really good vinyl repair guys that can take care of that crack and then the smaller ones here. That's it. I'll have better photos of this. I don't want to be knocking dust all around, so I'm mostly going to leave that there. But the dash is indeed cracked. I do have in here the original window sticker. Let's check it out. So this came out of City of Industry, California, delivered to Long Beach. I mean, day one, this has been a California car. Not huge as far as options go. 5-speed, two-tone exterior paint was a whole extra $145. The electric sunroof was $520, and $55 for the carpeted floor mats. What's crazy is they paid ADM on this. You can see right there, $16,998 was the MSRP. They managed for no reason just to charge $17,998. So they added $1,000 in ADM on this car, which is, I don't know, kind of wild. 5-speed, the leather is off of the shift knob here. The shift boot is okay. There's some cracks in it. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. Shift's great. We'll see more of that when we drive. This is rear wiper. That guy does work. I'm not going to play with it right now, but it does work. We've got power mirrors doing their thing. Got that one. That's right. These little mirror covers that like to fall off, I do have them. They're in the glove box. So those are easy to kind of re-adhere back into place. We have, actually, miraculously, the manual lumbar support bladders all still work. They all still hold air. This guy pumps up, which is really kind of uncommon. These are all destroyed and none of them work anymore. The little pumper upper works on this one, which is really cool. Let's pop the hood. We'll pop the trunk. Hood. Trunk. I also do have, just to show here, that is an original bra. So if you want to keep your front end all, the fresh paint all chip free, it does say Supra on it. I'll have a photo of that. It's really cool. And then I have a factory Toyota repair manual, wiring diagram, as well as a Haynes repair manual. So those are cool too. I also have, I don't have them with me now, but I have a whole army of service records, effectively back to new on this car, in a folder. Oh. Here's the motor. 5 MKII, 2.8 liter, just purring away. Runs really, really well, super smooth, makes all of the 160 ponies that it's got. It does have, and it doesn't work, thankfully, but somebody had installed an aftermarket alarm at one point. I mean, that somebody's definitely the original owner. Thankfully, the wires have been cut, it's not functional anymore, but that is there. There's a tiny toggle switch on the inside. It's had one timing belt done at 52,000 miles. The non-interference engine, not the end of the world if you break a timing belt. Might be worth doing, but for now, you know, just be aware, it has been done at least once. Really, really good under here. There's a little bit of a leak from the power steering pump here. I can't tell where it's coming from, but it's a little bit moist there. So be aware of that. Otherwise, really not much to write home about here other than it's all working as intended. I will say, if it's been sitting for overnight or a few days or a few weeks, on first cold start, and I will stitch a cold start video in here at some point, you tend to get a little bit of smoke on startup. Not the end of the world, that's just part and parcel to sitting for 20 years. And having some dried valve guide seals. As you can see in here, the valley looks really good. It still runs really, really good, but you know, again, small bit of smoke on startup that dissipates pretty quickly. So I'll try and illustrate that in here at some point. Oh, I forgot to do the windows. Oh, and the headlights. We gotta pop the headlights too. We'll do that. Windows do all work. Power up, power down. Power locks work. You can see more of the seat discoloration, and really here in full sun you can kind of see it. It's almost like an ashy gray, which is kind of interesting when they should be. I'll show you what color it should be. This maroon color. You can see back here on the inside, that's more of what it should be before it's faded. You can see the back seats are in good shape. They are also faded, especially on the top of the backs. And then the vinyl here is cracked from sitting in the sun. That should be pretty easy to redo. You could just redo the vinyl on this one upper. The speaker grill pops out, a couple of screws, and you do the same on both sides. That should be a pretty straightforward and simple fix. Probably a few $100s for an upholstery shop to knock out. There's that beautiful Supra billboard script. And then, I don't know what this is. Do you guys know? I don't know. Maybe that's why only this left rear speaker is working. It looks like it's going in there. I don't know. The CS103, no clue. It doesn't look like it's tied into the stereo, or sorry, the aftermarket security system. So maybe that's some sort of, maybe there used to be a subwoofer in here that somebody installed with the factory radio, which would be a little bananas. It's not bad back here. Somehow this carpet didn't get sun destroyed. I'm not sure how that happened. Maybe they had this guy deployed. Yeah, this guy's pretty shrunk up. So maybe this took the brunt of the damage from the sun back here, which is excellent. Spare tire, it's old. It looks like there's a split in it here. So I would replace this. I do have, and I will include, a whole slew of various replacement parts on this car. Brakes, wipers, tune-up stuff, belts, spark plugs, plug wires, a whole bunch of stuff. Right after I bought this, I took it on a, or not after I bought it, but right after I got it painted, I took it on a Driving While Awesome driving rally, which was, I don't know, about 500, 400-ish miles of hard driving. And considering it hadn't really seen a whole lot of use in 20 years. I brought a whole bunch of spare parts with me, assuming something would break. And because it's a Toyota, nothing broke. So I will include all that. That is, you know, pads, rotors, as I said, all that extra tune-up stuff. Lights do work, including the fog lights. I am going to miss this car. I really enjoy it. I can't justify keeping it. If I was gonna have a keep forever one, when I was in college, I met my wife in a super deep red 85 P-Type with a gray and black leather interior. That would be the keeper. Just relive my youth, which really wasn't all that long ago. It was, what, 15 years ago? 20 years ago? But darn it, that would be the keeper. This is not that. It is still very cool. I love two-tone cars. I love brown and maroon. I love 5 speeds. I love the Mark II Supra. And let's go drive it and stop talking about it, because this is turning into a very long video. All right, let's go. Okay, let's try this cold start again. I tried it before to show the little bit of smoke on startup for about 30 seconds after it sits for a little while. I'm pretty sure it's valve guide seals. Last time it didn't do it. Let's see if it does it again this time. So today, I haven't started this car in about 2 weeks, so let's see what happens. Oop, there's that belt I need to change. No smoke today. Oh, there we go. There it is. A little bit of smoke on startup. Well, that might be condensation. That doesn't look like smoke. That's condensation. So yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to show that it's got some smoke on startup, and it's just not cooperating. Let's give it some throttle. See, it's nice and cold. Oil pressure's good. Temp's, well, charging's good. Temp is cold. Nothing coming out the back. So, your mileage may vary with regards to the smoke on startup. It certainly has done it to me before, so be aware of that. I'm pretty confident the valve guide seals are a little old. Just this car did have a period of nearly 20 years of sitting, so I'm thinking that's it. So anyways, let's get on with the rest of this video, shall we?